As you enter the ruins of a once great nation, you are hit with the stench of death and decay. You see what you think used to be statues of mighty warriors, now barely standing with unrecognizable features. Pools of mysterious black liquid steam around the floors, bubbling as it erodes the tiles around it. From the shadows, you see a pair of glowing eyes and a sadistic cackle echoes out, followed by a voice. I love when new playthings come to visit.
Welcome to another Dragon episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
Hello, I'm Pepperina, and with me, of course, is Casey, and today we're joined by Megan for this episode called Black Dragons, Acid Reflexes.
This episode covers all things Black Dragons, including layers and regional effects, hordes, minions, eggs, and more.
Before we get started, I want to just wish the American listeners a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Peps, what are you having for dinner?
Turkey and ham and cream corn and sweet potatoes.
Do you guys do that ambrosia salad nonsense?
I don't.
Good. Good. It's not a salad. It's
I feel like that used to be at like my childhood ones, but it no longer is a staple.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I find is like, okay, the sweet potato is the sweet potato and like marshmallow weird shit that
Candied
I
yams.
see. Yeah, candied yams. I have never had that, nor do I really want to, simply because I didn't grow up with it, but I've seen it on TV with American Thanksgiving.
They're very good, but it is a dessert. It is not a...
It is a dessert side dish.
Yeah, you can't convince me otherwise with how much sugar is in that sucker.
You're like, it's a potato, so we'll call it a side dish. But yeah, it's a dessert. They also do it with like more of a strudel on top that has like a brown sugar cinnamon sort of crumble. And that is another, with like usually pecans or something.
Yeah, think cinnamon bun, but with the texture of a potato. That is what you're getting.
Like mashed potatoes, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like a pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
It's good. It's very good. I will give them that. But you cannot convince me that goes beside my turkey. You just cannot.
You smother it on some ham.
Yeah. No. Sorry, happy Thanksgiving, America.
My family's like the type of, we will have like, maybe 15 people, but we'll have 3 turkeys and a ham, and they'll all be cooked differently.
Fair
I
enough.
calculated one year we had 5 pounds of meat per person there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's just meat. That wasn't side dishes.
Death by meats.
Yeah.
That's what we're...
Anyways. Anyways, getting back to dragons and away from food. I have 2 loves. It's dragons and food, so
It's perfect.
I will talk about both incessantly. Okay, so first I want to say that black dragons are my absolute favorite. So I will do my best not to go off on too many tangents, but I make no real promises there.
Fair enough.
Just so you know.
With you.
Black dragons are by far the most sadistic and cruel dragon out there. That's the main reason I love them. I feel like they're the most dragony of dragons. They truly just do what they want and do not care about anybody or anything else. And nobody's going to tell them not to. They're sort of like Damon Salvatore in that way, like
I honestly like black dragons are also my favorite for the dark brooding reason.
Yeah. I'm rewatching Vampire Diaries right now, and I just made that connection. Like,
I am also rewatching Vampire Diaries right now. I think we'll talk about this later.
Okay. What season are you in? I'm in like 3.
I just jumped into season 2 at this point. Yeah.
Okay. So they don't just kill for food or power, and not even just because they can, like, white dragons sort of do. They get pleasure out of it. Not only do they get pleasure from killing and from torture, but from taking what you covet the most. It doesn't matter to them the value of an item. If you love it, then they want to take it from you. So their hoard is full of treasures taken from civilizations they destroyed and conquered, so just so they can no longer have it. Their lairs are set in stagnant swamps and ruins of old cities. They bring decay with them with their acid breaths pretty much wherever they go. So even if it was a beautiful city when they first conquer it and take it over, it will be ruins and just destroyed by the time they really make it their lair. The biggest change in the artwork in the new monster manual is that their heads now resemble skulls. Previously, they were just sort of like sunken in and tight skin around the skulls. Now their heads are like white and skull-like. They still have the unique horns that curve like forward and outwards instead of up and tall, which I am thankful they didn't mess with that because that's one of the coolest features of them, I think. And they have a green aura about them with like a slight hint of purple, which I enjoy. I always paint my black dragons with purple like wings and undertones with them. So as wormlings, black dragons will hunt other black dragon wormlings that they see as rivals so they can become the most powerful in the area. So if like the parents have a clutch of dragons, multiples, like that is the main like sibling rivalry right there. They will fight each other until one is standing and the most powerful. When they get into young dragons, they are expanding their territories and finding pleasure in terrorizing lesser creatures into servitude. They will also seek out undead creatures like vampires to align themselves with for more power. By adult, they have become the most terrifying creatures in the area, and this is when we will see cults and undead creatures connecting themselves to the black dragons to help spread death and despair across the lands. As ancient dragons, they are no longer pleased with just destruction in their area, but they seek to ruin entire realms. So this is a good like end game
Big bad.
campaign. Yeah. Campaigned ending, big bad. You want to stop them from destroying the entire realm. They are seeking out the most powerful magic to help them bring forth the corruption they desire until they are the most powerful thing that remains.
Thanks.
Yeah. If we look at Fizban's spell list, it very much gives me druid vibes, with things like insect plague, create, destroy water, and plant growth, which is another reason I love black dragons. They do have like evil druid vibes with like what they can do and their layer effects and things like that. But with the lore we are given for ancients, I would give them some more powerful spells at like ancient level, like power would kill, dominate person, suggestion, and possibly even wish. If they are seeking that amount of power, I could see them seeking out a wish spell of some kind to use. For treasure, you would find in their hoards, I would lean into the fact that they want what is most important to others. So it would be a collection of artifacts of other gods that like civilizations covet and think are more powerful, and they're going to be like, no, they're not. I'm more powerful. I will take this from you. Because like, what do people covet more than religious symbols of light and hope? Not much, like a base civilization. That is what they pray to. That is what they like build statues of. That is what they're going to take from you. If we look into like pop culture and things, I did absolutely love seeing the Black Dragon in the D&D movie. I love that they added that because it's rare to see a dragon portrayed in media that is not the fire-breathing kind. So I really loved the scene where it flies over and spews its acid breath weapon all over the ground and like actually getting to physically see what that looks like. In a media portrayal was very cool to me. And I think one of the scariest aspects of the black dragon is if they seek out more power. I can't think of much that's scarier than a black dragon turning into something like an elderbrain dragon, a chromatic great worm, or a Draco Lich. Like that, I think is going to be their end goals, is to become the most powerful thing that they can.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, so that's what I have. I'll let you ladies talk now.
Amazing. So I'm going to dive right into stats, starting, of course, with Wormily, and we're going to work our way up. But before we do eggs, a moment to talk about eggs. So I think, to be fair, all the egg talk is always speculation. There is really nothing actually written, rules is written in the PHP about what a dragon egg looks like. But what we've got so far for black dragons is that they're actually very good parents. But fun thing to note that the females are the ones who choose the mate. So, and they base it off of the male dragons sized of their horde.
As it should be.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm sorry, what is my dowry? Thank you.
Yeah.
So they actually, so the females choose, they run the show. And then similar to some of the other dragons, the eggs themselves are incubated in acid in a way to keep them safe. And then the parents actually stay and protect the eggs until they are born. But the thing to note, though, is that if the parent's life is threatened and they have to choose between saving their clutch and saving their own life, they will save their own life. They will leave the clutch behind.
They are not the self-sacrificing parents.
No, they are good parents in terms of, these are my eggs, these are mine, I'm going to grow them. We've got a good father, we got a good horde, you're going to have a good life. But if somebody scares me, I'm out of here.
Well, and I would even go as far as saying, if they know that like their layer has been like penetrated and they have to just get out, like they can't defeat the foe, they would even destroy their eggs, because they probably wouldn't want even to risk the eggs being taken.
I could see them like eating their eggs.
Yeah. Like it's like, if I can't have these kids, no one will.
Like full face into the pit of acid, mouthful of egg, and then flies away. Ah, dear. Anyways, moving on to, so the black wormlings. So as mentioned in Pep's speech, they are typically, their whole goal is to be the strongest one within their clutch. So they will, once they're born, start fighting each other in terms of trying to assert their dominance and so on and so forth. But as a whole, they typically roam around the bogs and swamps that they reside in, just preying on the smaller things until they can grow bigger and so on and so forth. But their main goal is just to assert dominance within their same clutch. They are a CR of 2. They have a speed, fly, and swim, all of 30 feet. I love that they have a swim because I imagine them swimming through acid, but I understand that there are other liquids, but I just feel like, and again, swamp water, I guess.
Yeah, they do live in a swamp, but
So
just swimming through pools of acid.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
So they do have higher perception and stealth at +4. And they speak Draconic, and so again, at this age, they only speak Draconic, so they don't have common or anything like that. They just yell at each other. They also have blind sight and dark vision. So at this age, their blind sight is at 10 feet and their dark vision is at 60 feet. So a little bit lower, but they're small, they're babies. So they're also considered to be amphibious. So this will carry on through their adulthood. So this means they can breathe air and water. And then for attacks, they have a classic multi-attack with their Rend, which is a melee +4 attack, and is 1d6 +2 slashing damage, but has an added 1d4 acid damage. Which means that, of course, their breath weapon is acid. We're talking about acid, so of course, their breath weapon, it do be acid. At this age, it does recharge on a 5 or a 6 with a dex save of 11. Otherwise, anyone within a 15-foot line will take 5d8 acid damage, halved on a fail. So very, very similar to a classic wormling, just kind of seasoned with the sprinkle of acid.
Yeah.
So moving up to young dragon status. So at this age, they have kind of stopped roaming around as much, and they have found their kind of own secluded little lair within their swamp area. This is the age where they actually start growing their little following, so they will terrorize small villages to impress the kobolds or anyone else that they can to come and follow them. So they are out there pimping themselves out. being like,
Yeah.
I am the most scariest thing you've ever met. Follow me or die. Like,
Yeah, they want the cult. Like, unlike
yeah.
other
Yeah.
dragons that don't want a cult or like don't know they have one, like black dragons are collecting cults.
Yeah, they expect
Yeah.
dark magic and culty things.
Yeah.
Like-
They're like, give me your necromancers.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, in fact, not only do they want to impress the kobolds, but this is actually when they start making deals with more powerful undead things like aberrations and aboleths. So, at young age dragon status, they're like, "What's up, Death Knight?
Yeah.
Want to come join my horde?"
Yeah. And they have the audacity to do it.
Oh yeah, they're just
For
the
sure.
full-
Yeah, after like at this age they have defeated all of their siblings
Correct, and they're
and have
just like,
proven themselves to be the like fiercest, and they're like, that's the mentality they have.
yeah, and they're like, "Suck it, mom and dad, I'm the best." So. Stats wise, they are CR of 7. Their speed goes up to 40. Their fly is now 80, and their swim is also now 40. So we see that increase in their movement tactics. Their perception goes up to +6, and their stealth goes up to +5. And at this age, they learn to speak common along with their draconic. And then their blind sight increases to 30 feet, and their dark vision increases to 120 feet. So we're starting to again see those classic stat rises. They do have a multi-attack, but it now increases to 3 uses of their rend attack, which is now a +7 to hit, has that extra 10-foot reach, and is 2d4 +4 slashing damage, +1 d6 of acid damage. So a little bit more terrifying, shall we say.
Mhm.
And then their acid breath does now increase to 30 feet and is now a DC 14 dex to save, or it's 14 d6 acid damage halved on a save. So
Yeah.
definitely a slightly more frightening. And again, the fact that the personality is like not only shifted to I've murdered this thing, but I'm also building an army. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
that
interesting that it went to a D6 from a D8. Like it was
Yeah.
5d8 and now it's 14d6.
Yeah, I do.
But I'm
feel that.
looking at adult goes to D8.
yeah, adult goes to D8. So
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ancient's also D8. It's interesting that young have a D6 for some reason.
It was like when they were building it, there was too much argument over what the average should be.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. This is somebody mathing way too hard in the background.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta switch to D6s for this one because it just doesn't work otherwise.
There's somebody
Yeah.
somewhere with a whiteboard with tons of numbers and red string being like, it has to be 14 d6.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're probably like, nobody's ever gonna notice, and they weren't expecting me.
Yeah. They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Hyper analyzes these stat blocks.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
Sorry, that's just a weird math thing.
I know it like now I can't unsee it and now I can't unhate it. So
I noticed that, and I forget what dragon I want to say Moonstone, but like they like the intelligence score or something went down as it got older instead of up, but then it went up by it went down by 2, but then went up by 4, and I was like, I bet they didn't expect anybody to notice that, but now it is out there for everybody because I did, and talked
somebody
about it
somewhere
here.
in the ether just got fired because he
Yeah.
noticed it.
Like, I don't know. Are they going senile and that's why? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
Add a line for context. Come on.
All right. Sorry. Carry on.
All right. Does that wrap up young dragon, Megan? Yeah, that does. All right.
It
So,
does, yeah.
on to the adult black dragon, which in true patterns, we see more interesting shit going on. So, yeah, to start with the basics though, the AC increases by 1 to 19. And then there is a decent jump with hit point average from 127 up to 193. And all ability scores increase except for Dex. Mind you, Dex is slightly higher for black dragons than other dragons we've discussed. It's sitting at 14. I think generally it's usually 12 at the high, or no, maybe even 10.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
feel like it's because they're like in my brain they're the rogues of the dragon realm.
And
So
like
they
a
have
little
the
more serpent snake-like kind of thing.
it helps the
Yeah.
stealth basically is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is what that stat pumps the most. But yeah,
Yeah. And normally Dex doesn't move, which
Yeah.
the stat itself doesn't move, but the save increases quite a bit as you go
Yeah.
through it. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is a lot higher than most dragons decks.
Yeah, I did notice that. That was what I noticed, Peps.
Amazing.
And a plug to this 5.5 book as well. I do appreciate just how they modified the stat block just like formatting so that
The UI on it is chef's kiss. Yeah.
because you could just, hey, it makes you clearly see some of those weird things. It's like, why the fuck did they do that? Because they set up the book so clearly. You can see it.
You shot your own self in the foot there, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they are going to be more perceptive and more stealthy than the young black dragon, and their blind sight doubles to 60 feet. Therefore, their CR increases to 14 from 7. And their breath weapon has now a DC of 18, which is up from 14. And it is a 60-foot long line of acid instead of 30. On a hit, it deals an average of 54 acid damage, which is the D8s.
Back to D8s.
We are at 12 D8 acid damage. Jesus, yeah, you're going to be borrowing D8s if you're rolling that. I honestly think the hit point average, like that, because of the D6 to D8 swapping, the average hit points is 54 for the adult, but the average for the young was 49.
Yeah,
so that's only a difference of 6 points.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it should be more than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
Fix your acid breath.
Right?
Yeah. Please.
So this is where we start really, really loving black dragons, is their spell casting ability. It uses charisma and it can cast detect magic, fear, Melf's acid arrow at level 3, all at will. And once per day, speak with dead and vitrolic sphere. And it can replace one of its multi-attack rend attacks with casting Melf's acid arrow at 3rd level, which is a new spin. Adult dragons have legendary resistances and legendary actions, of which it has 3. Consistently, we see adult dragons have the frightful presence to cast fear, and then the pounce and rend as a legendary action. And then there's typically one more unique ability. For the black dragon, this is Cloud of Insects. With a DC of 17, one creature within 120 feet of it that it can see must make a dex save of 17 or take 4d10 poison damage and have disadvantage on saving throws to maintain concentration until the end of its turn. I wanted this to be a bit better.
I hate poison damage. I think it is the dumbest thing to give a big bang. Everybody is immune or resistant to poison after a certain level.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why would this be the dragon's big... Fuck off. Like, I do not agree.
Yeah.
Right?
It should be something acidy.
Yeah. All due disrespect.
Yeah.
I'm so glad when I read this, like we all read this, we had the same, like, what?
Or like psychic damage, something, you know? Like I understand that we're dealing with just like a cloud of insects or what have you, so it's not supposed to be something excruciatingly detrimental. I really hate poison damage. I think it's the dumbest thing we have added to this game and then made everybody immune to it. Like,
well, I can't wait to have Megan on our green dragon episode.
The worst part is my monk follows a green dragon, which means all of her abilities are poison related, and that's why I hate it. Is because I can't use it for shit. I did do it to myself. Anyways, fuck off, poison damage.
Yeah. I'll move on at this point. We'll move on and we'll discuss later. Yes, so we do get that spell casting in, and then that unique legendary action. But it gets a little bit better with ancient black dragons, just a tiny bit in terms of boosting. There's nothing really new here, but anyway, we'll get into it. So ancient black dragons have a decent AC boost from 19 to 22. and they now have 367 average hit points. And again, all ability stats increased except for Dex, but Dex, as we said, is still a bit higher at 14. And then again, with the boost and everything, the save now is +9 for the Dex.
Yeah.
So
they
we're
are not failing any dex saves.
yeah, let's not kid ourselves here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to highlight again, like the highest stats are in strength and con, as we generally see and those are at 27 for strength, and con is 25. But charisma, because we love a black dragon, is not far behind at 22, which is a +6 modifier across the modifier and save. So because black dragons.
Yeah.
So we get to a CR of 21 here at the Ancient Black Dragon. Its acid breath is now a DC of 22 and is 90 feet long instead of 60, and is 10 feet wide instead of 5 feet wide. So this more than doubles the AoE type effect that this actually has. It's insane. And now we are dealing with D8s, but it deals an average of 67 acid damage, which is up from 54. It's like, okay, well, it's at least 10 points higher. Sure. Okay. It also is given one more spell it can cast at will, which is Create Undead, which absolutely tracks with its just ability to just rise any creatures it's just killed and is terrifying. And then the Vitrolic Fear spell is now cast at 5th level from 3rd level. So again, it's just more devastating and more challenging to avoid. If it chooses to swap Melf's Acid Arrow in for a multi-attack, it is now also cast at 4th level instead of 3rd level, so it's just much more devastating. And then that Cloud of Insects gets an overall boost to damage to 60-10 from 40-10, and the DC is now 21. So generally, you're going to take this because it is a dex save, and so your less dexy ones are not going to be able to beat a 21 DC. It's just not really going to happen. Yeah, so that is the Ancient Black Dragon. As we get to the top of the oldies, the grandparents. Now, as usual, as we get to the adult and ancient dragons, we start to get layers and more detail on that, and then layer actions. So black dragon layers think, yes, disease, decay, pollution. They wish to corrupt, create undead, and be the most powerful being in the region. So the region is undoubtedly affected by its presence, and its layer including an acrid haze with 1 mile. No, let me try that again. Sorry, Megan. It's noted. So the region is undoubtedly affected by its presence, and its layer includes an acrid haze within 1 mile that lightly obscures the area and causes travel to take double the time. So I love this because you are desperately trying to get to its lair and get through, but then when you get within 1 mile, it's going to take double the amount of time because you're going to be slowed down and confused by this acrid haze. Second is that all water sources within 1 mile are fouled. So if you drink it, you must make a con save or be poisoned for 1 hour. So this really adds in that survival aspect of now your player, you have as a DM, you have to make your players care about their water and food rations, because once they go into this, if they haven't considered bringing enough water with them, they are going to end up going into having to do disadvantages. So that one comes up a little bit more with black dragons.
Now, as a DM, if your players create water within that 1 mile, would you have that also be foul?
That is an interesting one. I would say if you drink it immediately, whatever you drink immediately is okay. But if you keep it, because it's in that acrid haze, I would say it does get fouled.
Yeah, it gets fouled the longer it's. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Like if you drink it immediately, then it might be all right, but you have like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It would start like getting that like filmy layer on the top as it's exposed to the air, and then you'd be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Stale water. Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good spin though, because that would absolutely be some sort of loophole that the players would try.
I'm always the druid that creates the water and has the good berries for these situations. So
Fair.
I'm always thinking about that kind of thing.
And then there is, as usual, too, as we see with all dragons, one additional legendary resistance, and then there's one additional action while in its lair for black dragons. Let me check that that's correct. Yes, it is. So legendary resistances in the lair, they have 5, which we have seen, and then legendary actions, they have 4 while they're in their lair. Again, devastating. This is what makes it so much harder, these layer things.
Yeah.
And to make it even worse is if you bring Fizbins into this. So the Fizbins book gives us an example of a black dragon lair that is abandoned and a dilapidated chapel with rotting frames and broken pillars with a swampy lake, which sounds perfect for a black dragon and exactly where you don't want to go. But then it adds in that visual for additional layer actions offered in this book. You can add Filth Burst, where the dragon chooses a point within 120 feet to make a 20 by 20 foot cylinder of water filth. Sewage, I would say, that erupts from the ground. So it's like a chute, like a geyser of sewage coming up. And if you're in that cylinder or end your turn there, you need to make a con save or take, sorry, Megan, poison damage. Next up as a layer action is Grasping Muck. You're going to love this one too, Megan. So we love a grapple.
We have green dragons. I don't understand why we have poison and grappling happening right now. Get out of here.
With this one, Muck can rise up to grasp up to 3 creatures of the dragon's choice it can see. And if you fail a strength save, you are restrained. Finally, there is Noxious Gas, an eruption of gas in a 20-foot sphere that will poison any creature within it for 1 minute if they fail a con save. So we have sewage water that does poison damage. We have muck that can restrain you. And we have noxious gas that can also give poison damage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
Fizbins also introduces a couple more regional effects to consider adding. The first I think we can all relate to. If a creature spends more than a year within 10 miles of the lair, they are filled with listless despair.
Yep.
Next, within 6 miles, creatures like birds and bugs, think that insects swarm thing, they become spies to the black dragon, and they'll follow humanoids who enter the area, and they can ultimately cause disadvantages. And also, the air is really heavy, and stinging bugs fill the air with a rotting smell within 6 miles. I also found this one is interesting because the air is heavy and filled with stinging bugs, and then they cause a rotting smell. And
yeah.
I didn't quite equate those two together necessarily. Because I have lived in Saskatchewan where they have tiny swarms of bugs that get in your face and get in your eyes and get in your ears, and it is horrible. But the effect wouldn't just be that there's a rotting smell that's within the area. Anyway,
Gross bugs.
Yeah.
I digress again.
So they're just creating sores on everything in that area that create that stench that comes off of everything. Like any deer or elk or rabbits or squirrels that are in that area that are getting stung by these bugs constantly just have now rotting flesh because it's constantly covered.
Yay.
Yeah, I think that's probably where they're going with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They just didn't explain it at all.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Subject to interpretation.
Yeah.
Now, we all know as well that, but it has to be noted that if a dragon dies or moves from the area, the effects end immediately. Now, if we touch on the minions, so we already know that they will interact with more people, more creatures. They will have allies. They will have cults. So they will never be alone. Beyond their horde of undead and dead creatures, they will have plenty of creatures that can be easily controlled in particular. Things that have been mentioned in the book are shambling mounds, oozes, and constructs. And even more intelligent followers might include kobolds and lizard folk, based on just the overall draconic power that this creature emits. So you can really, I think this is where you can get many, many connections to your campaign to bring in a Black Dragon story arc, because there's lots of means and ways that a Black Dragon may infiltrate from the dark side of things into your campaign and connect to a backstory and connect to encounters in areas you're going to go.
Mhm.
And in terms of horde, just to build off of what Pep said too, they definitely have more specific interest in their treasures, like magical items or significance to a culture or relics. Maybe even relics that have like a scientific significance to the past or to developments. And they also hold like if something has secret knowledge as part of it, say it's covered in runes that are connected to a specific religion or a specific species, that it would also be of interest to them, because it's that need to have power and control over others. So if I have this knowledge, then I control whatever it is. And while their lair is musty and damp and rotting and disgusting, their horde will not have items that can rot or decay. So it won't have treasures that are like made of wood or fabric, because it will just deteriorate and they won't want it in it. So I find that very interesting, because they've created this environment, but then as far as their horde goes, it's like, oh no, get that crap out of here. Like that's just gonna rot and be and be useless to me. So that is something to consider if, say, you're going to have your party go and take something from a horde. It's not going to be a scroll that's made out of paper and parchment, or going to be some sort of armor that has a leather component to it. It's going to be something that's made of metal or gem or something else, not that. So make sure to make it make sense. And finally, their lair is also, or their horde in their lair is not on display. Other dragons will have the mountain of treasures and they will swim in it, lay in it, let everybody look at it and be super proud of it. But Black dragons won't. They will keep it hidden so that the full like scope of it is unknown. And especially if they have really prized possessions in it, they will not want anyone to steal it. And so they will have it in the deep depths and be really, really hard to get to and really hard to steal. And if you do end up stealing it, the Black Dragon will rage and it will be very, very bad for you. So you better have a really good exit plan.
Give me my stuff back.
Yeah.
I stole that fair and square.
Yeah. Yeah, and there we have it for Black Dragons.
All right, let's roll and have a chat about what inspires us. I got a 15.
Ooh, 17.
Nice. I got a 9. I got a rock.
All right, so many thoughts, so many feelings. I'm gonna jump back to this combat tactic of cloud of insects, because I want to know what that looks like for one creature it targets. because it doesn't really describe this. So this is the legendary action of Cloud of Insects. And so it can just do this to one creature within 120 feet, and then it gives poison damage. So I want to say it's a swarm of, say, even like 5 feet by 5 feet that, like, the dragon, it uses some sort of mind ability, or maybe its hand, and I want to say it like conjures it into a swarm, like a moat, and just like throws it at one creature, and the creature then just gets covered in these insects. Like, they land and cover the creature, and then like sting it 1,000 times to give that poison damage.
That wonderful poison damage we love.
Yeah. And yes, since it's poison damage, I will say that they like swarm and cover, like kind of like bees, where they like, create a layer, like honeybees. If they land on you, it's like that. And then they just sting and give you that poison damage. If you wanted to add other flavor and have it do some other sort of damage, I would say then you could have it like it swarms around your face, and then you are blinded for like, until your next turn, because they're covering and you can't see anything. They're getting in your eyes, and like you're not able to, you can't use your turn that turn because you're trying to get these out of your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to add maybe some more flavor to that one. That's just me.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the most interesting things is the environment around them, and how you can use that as a DM. Like, you could have 5 sessions just trying to get to the Black Dragon lair and having to overcome the environment in the area, which can be a multitude of things. It can be that it's in a swamp. You can finally run into quicksand, like we all thought that we would by this age in our lives. This is where quicksand's a problem, because you're in a swamp.
We're more afraid of quicksand than I realized was necessary.
Yes. But you are like, you're coming up against the animals in that area, and not a lot of other dragons have that. Like, you have the white dragons in the Arctic where everything's frozen and you're not coming across like the animals there. You have blue dragons in the desert. There's not a lot of animals in the desert. There might be a lizard or something running around, but these you have all of those insects and all of those creatures and snakes and scorpions and things like that we are all generally afraid of anyways, because they are dangerous as in themselves to come across. So I would lean into that before you even get to the lair, before you even get to the dragon. You're coming across shambling mounds. You're coming across the little like tree blights, the stick guys that run around. Like, the dragon is going to have other things that you're going to come across before that, even if it's just zombies and undead creatures. Like, go back and listen to our undead episodes, and really, like, before you run a Black Dragon episode, because you are coming across undead things before you get to this dragon. Like, you just are. So, like, really think about what creatures would fit in that scenario.
Yeah. And then what other civilizations would fit? Because, like, I also love the layer of these things, but the way that it affects the way, like, agriculture would work would be very different, because you're dealing with bog, swamp, different types of plant life, and a lot of, like, poisonous things in this area. So as much as I hate poisons, a civilization I feel like I would want to build here would definitely be our bog hag era dream here. That they would live here gathering the different poisons and the tinctures and making things from the remnants of this black dragon, and using those to sell for other boons and other things and so on and so forth. So one civilization I would build here would be hags for sure.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't necessarily worship the dragon. They'd just be siphoning off of what the environment that was created by the dragon, right? So, and they would be relatively unbothered, because no one would want to go into this place to not only, one, risk coming across black dragons, but also now there's this like bog hag existed.
Yeah,
like
there's a coven of hags.
There's a coven of hags within this. And I love a good cult. I love a good coven. So I think this would be a perfect environment for that. I think that's why I like black dragons a lot, is because it fits into my realm of how I would love to live my life,
Yeah.
just an agent of chaos and darkness.
All
in a
right. So
consistent basis.
let's create a coven and move into a swamp and buddy up with a black dragon and
perfect.
live our best lives.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so simple. I don't know why it's so difficult for people to understand that. Right?
That's all we want.
Yeah. But yeah, I would that's a civilization I would build. Mixed in with, of course, like black dragons would definitely have kobolds following them around. It's like, so these swamps, to your point, Peps, are gonna not only be filled with undead creatures, but anything that would follow a dragon that can survive within this area would be here.
Yeah.
Because not only are they protected by the dragon, but they're protected by its environment. So
Yeah.
but yeah, because it's not like it's a mountainous landscape or tundra like a white dragon or a forested area like a green dragon or what have you. This is a gross swamp you don't want to be in. It would be avoided at all costs. Like you would go around it,
Yeah.
You can't miss, if you're going into a swamp like this, you should guarantee that you're going to probably see a wormling or something slithering across the ground or hiding in one of its poison puddles or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is. The environment is really cool to use. So
You
Agreed.
could even see like the druid liches, the lichen liches.
oh my god.
I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Like buddying up with a black dragon and just helping it create that environment because it is a druid at heart, at its base, and then it is a lich and corrupted by like the evil and darkness and would become
Mhm.
even more corrupted being around the black dragon. I could see them pairing up and creating a larger area and expanding the swamp and bringing it out into like local civilizations and farmlands and things like that, where it becomes a problem for like areas that weren't a swamp but now are becoming a swamp
Mhm.
because of the two of them.
Yeah, and the potential for like the story and the backstory here is huge because like imagine like this one may not necessarily just come into something that's already abandoned. You could spin it as it just attacked the biggest city with the biggest, most prominent like religious center and destroyed everyone and the chapel, and then just started seeping that poisonous swamp like environment out. And so people who did survive its attack had to flee. And so in the history books, it was this like city was known for its beautiful chapel, on the cliffs or whatever. And now it's just shrouded in fog, and it's like you can smell it from miles and miles away. And it built all of this like layer and regional effects and has all of these creatures that some may have migrated there because it was the environment they wanted, but then some maybe that druid wasn't a lichen like one
Lichen.
Yeah.
but it ended up being corrupted and became that. And so all of these maybe long-standing like families or races or communities refused to leave and then adapted and ended up transforming themselves to be something that could live in the realm of the black dragon, but ultimately became controlled by the black dragon. It's just like ripe with like complexities, and you could connect it to so many different things, and all of it is ending in impending doom, but it's so cool.
So cool.
Love
Yeah,
it.
that's where you get into that regional effect of like if you're within the area for a year, then you just have this overwhelming feeling of like dread and despair and stuff. And so that's the like civilizations that don't want to move. Like, no, this is my home. Or they might not even like 6 miles is a long way. They might not even realize that this is within 6 miles of this area and are just going on with their lives for the next year. And it seeps in and like is slowly like everybody is just becoming more and more like despaired and disheartened and
like it could be the neighboring farms that are way outside of the main city and don't go to the city once every couple years, and suddenly their crops are not doing as well. Their animals are always irritated and like are eating the grass, but then becoming sick and seem like they're poisoned.
Yeah.
How strange.
And then over time, if they don't accept the fate of their farm, they end up falling into that despair and they just give up on everything and are your hermit that lives in the farmland, the farmhouse, lost all of their family because they all died, but they somehow keep living on. And that's who you encounter first to talk to.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Any other inspirations from either of you ladies? Other than black dragons are awesome and you should absolutely use them in your game?
Black dragons are awesome, and you can use them without ever actually having to see one.
Yeah,
Because
you
of
can.
How hidden they are and XYZ and how much they are not going to be found. Like, you could probably go through a swamp like this not realizing it was a part of a black dragon's lair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I think that is a fun thing to like install into the game. Like, that maybe at the very beginning you traverse through this swamp to get somewhere to do something, and then it turns out later that you learn that that is actually where the lair of the dragon is, but it let you live for some reason, right? So there's a lot that you can use with black dragons. You can use a lot to do with their followers because they will have them. You can do a lot with what types of creatures live within their lair. And then again, there's lots of plot hooks you can use in terms of like, it hoards things that are important to other people, which means sometimes maybe it's hoarding things that aren't necessarily seemingly beautiful or wonderful, but at some point in time, it's just like, yeah, that was really important to an elf I met once, so I just took it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's a lot that you can do with them.
Yeah.
There's to this day will still be my favorite. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. If you have a player that has like a family heirloom sword that they are incredibly attached to, or has like the sentience of an ancestor stuck in it, like that black dragon is taking that sword.
like, that's thanks. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
This looks important to you.
I mean, I don't think it looks that great, but you like it, so it's mine now. Yeah, I like the idea of it, like you moving through the area and with it having its little spies and stuff. Like, somebody in your party is gonna adopt a little lizard as it walks through this, and that lizard's actually a spy and is just
Mhm.
spying on your group the entire rest of the campaign until this black dragon thinks you're worthy of fighting.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might even send like the Death Knight after you, and still you have no idea it's a black dragon behind it all.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. All right. So, on to the most important question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fuckable is the black dragon?
Smash.
10 out of 10.
You know what? Because everything's immune to poison damage, I will be just fine.
This is your dominatrix mommy.
Oh, 100%. This is either
100%.
female dragon Dami mommy, and then yeah, and then male
It-
dragon would definitely be the sub-dom situation.
Yeah. I mean, it could be the masochism, maybe, but like 10 out of 10.
Amen. Yep. Also 10 out of 10. Yeah.
It has to be, because I also feel like it would respect what you are asking for as well, and be like, yeah, I will do that eventually if you survive.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the morning, dear.
Yeah. And I mean, the curved horns, the serpentiness, it's very bendy, very flexible. It could get in. Yeah. Anyway.
Great.
10 out of 10.
Fantastic.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, black dragons, the best. Trying not to be biased.
I
but
do also like, we are all in black right now.
we are. It is just the color.
Yeah. I just got this shirt. It's do you guys watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah,
It's Nadja's nightclub.
it's very cute. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for listening and supporting It's a Mimic. We hope you were inspired by our conversation today, and continue listening to this season on dragons and many other episodes on many other topics. Thanks so much.
That's all for this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help push our engagement. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
This week on the public channels for It's a Mimic, which is, of course, this one that you're listening to right now, we only have this episode, which means we're back to a regularly scheduled program, and we can finally take a breath after that big blitz that we did in September all the way through until last week. So that's nice. But over on the Patreon, it's still busy. We not only have our next episode on the Greyhawk Pantheon, where we get into a couple of gods that are focused on travel, but we released an episode yesterday on the Patreon, as well as one that we're going to release on Friday as well, but both of them are based on kind of adapting and homebrewing a couple of adventures. So the one yesterday, in case you missed it, was me talking about the prep that I'm doing for not only the Christmas special that we're going to be releasing here in about a month on the public channels, but also kind of Icewind Dale in general, and because I'm adapting it from the New Forgotten Realms book. And then on top of that, I try to come up with, just live on air, what I'm going to do for a special one-shot adventure for my players in my own home table game. So something special for the holidays. So we could sit back and have kind of like a beer and pretzels kind of adventure, and or I guess it would be like gingerbread and eggnog kind of adventure. But then, yeah, so we had those two sessions, the very different sessions, to prep for, different one-shots, but both holiday themed. And I figured it would be good to release that early so, all the patrons can have a little bit of inspiration about doing their own holiday one-shots, because I know that happens a lot around Christmas. But then the one on Friday also covers one shot that I did kind of as a side quest for one of my players. No one else could show up for the week, and I said, you know what? I want to play D&D anyway. So I went into the new DMG, and I found that they've got, the bunch of adventures in there, and I grabbed the one called Horns of the Beast, and I adapted that into my own session that I played one-on-one. I prepped for a session with just Dan. And that one was a lot of fun. I've played it now, and it worked out really, really well. So anyway, that's what's going on over on the Patreon. Both of those bonus episodes will be available to everybody that is a paying member. So that even includes the handful of you that are just chipping in a couple bucks every month. You're going to get a couple bonus episodes as well. So they're cheap, and I think they might be helpful for people to listen to when it comes to prepping for the holiday one-shots that they'll be doing in the upcoming season. So anyway, let's talk about some traps. So, now that we're done another dragon episode, let's talk about traps, because every good dragon has multiple layers, and every good layer has multiple traps. Remember, the good traps support the suspension of disbelief, which means that they have to make sense, and they have to work within the boundaries of established logic of your campaign. So for unique traps, I tend to look to the 2001 publication from Fantasy Flight Games called Traps and Treachery. It was designed with 3.5 in mind, but we know that just means that the numbers are high and the details are crunchy, and I feel like most dragons would appreciate that. So for this episode, I've decided to look at Blackstone's Corrosive Countermeasures. And as you can imagine, it's acid-based, which absolutely fits the Black Dragon theme. So the idea here is that we're not trying to kill, we're not even trying to really maim. What we're doing here is we're going to try to get in the way. This is a hindrance. It'll be a little bit of injury, but mostly just a pain in the ass. Which I think a Black Dragon would appreciate. When you get to the point where you know that there's a vault or that there are multiple ways forward, but this is the only safe one, and you come across a locked door, this is when you find this trap. Now, of course, you can put it on any locked item. It doesn't have to be a door. It could be a window, it could be a chest, it could be a bank vault, it could be anything. But the idea is this. There is a leather magical bladder of some sort hidden within the system. And if you fail your sleight of hand check to pick the lock, then this kicks in. It sprays acid out onto the lock, onto the rogue or whoever's trying to pick the lock, and onto the thieves' tools. So immediately what happens is you have to roll it says here a DC 15 reflex save, and reflex of course is dexterity, and DC 15 just means that it's, most rogues are going to be able to do this. So for 5th edition we bump it down to a DC 12, and then if you want to find the bladder or you want to disable it, it's going to be a lot harder. So it would be a DC 17 to find it and a DC 20 to be able to disable it, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to make it so that it's a DC 12 if you fail, but if you roll 10 or below, which no rogue should be after a certain level, if you roll 10 or below, then your thieves' tools are going to take acid damage as well as the lock, and that's going to mean that the lock cannot be picked. You're going to have to find another way through this door. But also, your thieves' tools will have a -2 modifier on them anytime you try to use them moving forward. You need new thieves' tools. The acid damage will only do like 1d6, right? And that's from 3.5, it says 1d6, so it could even be like 1d4. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's just more an annoyance than anything else because your thieves' tools are no longer going to work and now you can't get through this door. I think that that is a phenomenal trap. It's going to frustrate your players and it's going to hit them with a different kind of resource management that they're going to have to take care of the shit that they've got with them. So, and frankly, you could put a sign on it that says, you know, like there's a special kind of lock itself. When you get up to it, it's in a specific shape or it's a specific color, or it has got an imprint from a specific like lock maker or locksmith that's on it. And so when you run into it and it does this to your tools, you run into it again, your rogues are going to start to be like, oh shit, this kind of lock. Should I bother to do it, or can we bypass the whole thing and just break this door down? Anyway, that was Blackstone's Corrosive Countermeasures. And so now that we've set another trap for our players, I want to ask you, what monster or minion do you think would pair nicely with Blackstone's Corrosive Countermeasures? What is going to sit there and also eat away at their resources against their will?
If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, including a variety of bonus episodes covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.